A recent Nanos poll shows that when it comes to credibility, both Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre have scored poorly, although Poilievre secured a slightly higher score. Let's bring in the man, Nik Nanos, founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. Nik, thank you as always for joining us, sir.
Great to see you, Roger.
These credibility numbers for the two leaders, quite surprising. What did you use for factors before we get into the numbers themselves?
I look at these numbers. We basically ask a pretty simple question. We ask, for people, Canadians, to score the overall credibility of both of the two major party leaders. And as you can see, yes, Pierre Poilievre does nudge out Justin Trudeau, but this is a score out of 10, Roger. 0 to 10. I guess 5 is a fail.
Were you surprised by these? I'm blown away by these numbers.
Man, yeah, they're low. And here's the one thing. It speaks, Roger, to the polarization that is taking place in the Canadian electorate, at least on these two figures. Mm-hmm. And that what it means is that people are not happy with either one of those individuals, and they score their credibility low. So I guess the good news for Pierre Poilievre is 3.9, versus 3.7. But, if this was a swimming pool, Roger, they'd both be drowning on credibility. They're not above water.
And different areas like different people, and there is a clear distinction when it comes to the sexes as well.
Yeah, exactly. Women were more likely to give a tip of the hat to Justin Trudeau. Canadians that live in Western Canada were more likely to give a tip of the hat to Pierre Poilievre. But they're bad. The numbers are bad. They're bad for both of them, right? And I think for Pierre Poilievre, who still enjoys a significant lead over Justin Trudeau, this has to be a bit of a wake-up call, because it speaks to, it's actually not about him and his popularity. It's about him as an agent of change and people looking at the Conservatives.
Yeah, and for Trudeau, some of the emotions or the words that came to mind for him when they were asked, people came up with anger, cluelessness, and disgust.
Yeah, pretty dismal numbers, Roger, on this front. We ask Canadians the emotions that come to mind when each of the federal party leaders speaks. So for Justin Trudeau, you can see, the top three, people questioning his intelligence, anger, disgust. That sit on the positive side of the ledger. About 1 out of every 5 use words like believable, honest, and trustworthy, and capable to describe the emotion that they felt when Justin Trudeau spoke. But here's the key takeaway: 1 out of 20 Canadians have something positive that comes to mind whenever Justin Trudeau speaks. It just points to the fact that people have formed opinions about him, and that they're
1 out of 20.
Listen, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Poilievre, on the other hand, we get dishonest, but hopeful and confident. That is quite the combination.
Yeah, exactly. And, this speaks to him being positioned as a potential agent of change. At the top of the list, hopeful combined with dishonest, confident, scared when they hear him talk. And, we talked about Justin Trudeau, 1 out of 20 having something positive to say. For Pierre Poilievre, and this is better news, 1 out of 5 Canadians, right, have something positive to say or have a positive emotion that they associate when he speaks. But you know what, Roger, these are brutal numbers for both of those leaders. Again, I don't think anybody's really enthusiastic. They might be angry about change. They might be worried about what Pierre Poilievre might represent, or angry at Justin Trudeau, or disappointed, but not bad. I don't know. I don't want to get too bad. It's bad, Roger.
And so, before we go, how does that play out for anything at the voting booth? Is this going to be an impact?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We still, Roger, it's kind of like Groundhog Day every week when we chat. The Conservatives with an 18-point lead, 42-24. So still good news for them. The other key takeaway is coming out of the budget. The Conservatives are the only party that's up. You can see the opposition parties are both down a little bit within the margin of error, but you roll them up 4, down 4. So, this is why for Pierre Poilievre, yes, he's ahead, but there's not a lot of enthusiasm, and there's still a lot of people that don't consider him credible, but don't consider Justin Trudeau credible either.
All right. Well, we consider you credible, hopeful, optimistic. Nik, thank you as always for joining us, sir.
Take it easy, Roger.
Cheers. Nik Nanos is founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research.